Thursday, which is the UK parliamentary elections. Elections for the 650 seats in the House of Commons, where if all the forecast predictions were to come true, the Conservatives will be out of power after 14 years and they will be replaced with what some people, even Rishi Sunak has himself used that term, the current UK Prime Minister, the Labour could get a super majority in the House of Commons. What does that mean really for the UK and for all those countries that have relations with the UK, including India? Let's speak about that with Professor Harshvardhan Pant, who is the Vice President of Observer Research Foundation and is joining us from Delhi. Good evening to you, Professor Pant. What do you make of, first of all, what is likely to happen? It's being said to be a foregone conclusion, and now people are simply talking about what kind of numbers, a super majority, the Labour will be getting.
Yeah, I think, elections in democracies always are unpredictable, and we may see some surprises, but I think by and large the trend is very clear that whatever we know so far, we know that it is probably the end of a long reign of the Tories, uninterrupted reign of around 14 years. Conservative Party has been ruling Britain now for better part of the last 2 decades. And now that seems to be coming to an end with a resurgent Labour under Keir Starmer that who has been very successful in moving Labour Party to the centre ground of British politics, something that only Tony Blair did, so far back, and was able to bring Labour once again, as a governing coalition, as a governing party of Britain. And I think what Starmer has done is to remove the hardened edge of Jeremy Corbyn's and brought the Labour to the centre stage, softened some of its rougher edges, allowed new constituencies to join in, thereby making Labour the real party of governance in some ways. And of course, a lot of it is attributable to the self-destructive mode in which Tories, the Conservative Party, found itself when they had to elect leader after leader, only to realize that by the time Rishi Sunak was appointed, it was probably too late. So I think we are going to see, if the present trends continue and if the present trends are anything to go by, a transformative change in British politics.
So what would you call this if all the forecasts were to come out to be true? Would it be a vote in favour of Labour or just against, an anti-incumbency vote against the Conservatives, the Rishi Sunak and his entire outfit?
I think if the scale of the victory is as high as people are predicting, then I think certainly it will be a reflection on the inability of the Tories to convince people after last elections under Boris Johnson that they should be given another chance for governing the country. I think people are fed up with the internecine rivalry within the Conservatives. And I think the inability of the Conservatives to really get a grip on the number of challenges that Britain is facing. Britain is actually at a crossroads in more ways than one. And the inability of the Conservatives to articulate a coherent strategy for how do they expect Britain to get out of this rut probably is one of the most important reasons why the scale of the victory in favor of the Labour is being predicted as so high. But certainly Labour has also done its job. Labour has also created a new constituency for itself. And Labour has also been successful in convincing, after years of being in wilderness, that they can also be the party of governance, which the Tories once prided themselves in. Today, Labour, if you look at the Labour Party, it looks more organized, it looks more confident, it looks more disciplined. All the attributes that once were applicable to the Tories. And I think that's why we are going to see probably one of the largest shifts in British political histories.
Okay, and what do you make of the fact that on the penultimate day of campaigning, even Boris Johnson came out of the woodwork, and although he didn't really stand with Rishi Sunak or endorse him in some way, and Rishi Sunak was happy with that, because if you look at the way Boris Johnson exited, Rishi Sunak was one of them who sort of pulled the rug from under his feet, but he literally left in disgrace.
Boris Johnson was the last Prime Minister under which the Tories got such a big mandate. So clearly, there is a constituency in Britain that likes Boris Johnson, and Boris Johnson remains very popular on the stump. So if he campaigns, I think they are going to get some additional support for the Tories. He's going to add some support for the Tories. But he's also reflective of this lack of discipline within the Tories that permeated the Conservative Party because of his inability to govern effectively during COVID, and then post-COVID when he was re-elected 4 years back, not being able to give any sense of direction to the Conservative Party, and in fact he had to leave in disgrace, as you put it. So clearly he's also part of the problem. But the serious condition that the Tories find themselves in today, perhaps that is a reflection of the fact that they needed to bring out Boris Johnson and made him do some stump speech for electioneering.
Right. And in terms of if there were to be this shift, this great shift after a great amount of time in UK politics in terms of who gets to be in power, what would it mean for UK's interaction with the world, with the other countries, especially its interactions, its relations with India?
I think on foreign policy, we are likely to see a great degree of continuity, apart from some of the facts around immigration, for example, where the hard-nosed stance of the Tories might give way to some moderation on the part of Labour. But if you see what Starmer in particular has
A
been
trade
saying on a
deal also
number
still
of
hangs in balance. It didn't get worked
exactly.
out by Rishi Sunak as well, and between
I
Prime Minister
think
Modi.
that will continue. We will see acceleration probably on the FTA front as far as India is concerned. We are what Starmer has done is in effect brought Labour much closer to India. Labour at one point was seen as the party that is not particularly sympathetic to Indian concerns, but Starmer has been effectively wooing the Indian constituency in the UK, and Starmer has been very effective in articulating a pro-India position on a number of issues. So I think as far as India-UK relations are concerned, they will continue to be on a strong footing, irrespective of who is in power. And perhaps we might see a strong government with a strong mandate might also lead to an early conclusion of the FTA, which is very close to realization in more ways than one. So I do think that there is much good news here for India and India-UK relations. And I do think that the attempt by UK to engage more in the Indo-Pacific is also likely to continue, which is also something that India would like UK to do. So clearly on a range of issues, whether it is China, Pakistan, terrorism, Indo-Pacific and FTA, we are going to see continuities across the board rather than any major disruption.
All right. Well, let's see what happens first of all on Thursday with the voting and the numbers it really brings out, because a lot of people are also saying that people might not be that keen to step out and vote, thinking that the result is a foregone conclusion. So that is also something that could impact the final outcome. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Professor Pant. Now, musician and singer